So today the webinar is specifically about the differences and the similarities between the full-time programs at Maastricht School of Management, namely the MBA, the full-time MBA, and the full-time Master in Management, because they do have quite a lot of things in common, but also quite a lot of differences. And so if you still need to make the decision on whether, firstly, MSM is a good choice for you, whether the Netherlands is a good choice for you, and whether you should be looking at a full-time MBA or a Master in Management, well, that's what we're going to be covering today. So you can see, well, obviously from an introduction point of view, maybe that's very important to start off with. My name is Hermina. And I am in charge of the department that takes care of the student experience from the first time you're in contact with MSM all the way through to your end of your studies and after you've graduated as an alumni. So also during the year, the career services, the student services, the admission services, that all falls under the department, the enrollment team. And with me today, Vessel, maybe you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Amina, and welcome everyone to this webinar. My name is Vessel. I'm one of the recruiters for MSM, mainly for our Master in Management program. So if you are interested in the Master in Management, chances are high that you will get in touch with me, either through email or through a personal Zoom call, because I am mainly advising on any questions that you have before you actually submit your application. And today in the webinar, I'll also be talking about the Master in Management a little bit later on. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about these different things. So first give you some general information about MSM, the Netherlands, and then go more deeper into the actual programs and then the actual practical information if you would like to apply. At the end, we will also do a Q&A session to cover any other questions that were asked during this the webinar that could be beneficial to everyone. However, throughout the webinar, if you've got any questions, even starting now, you're allowed to place them in the Q&A box. So there's a chat box, but there's also a Q&A box. And the Q&A box will be manned by Vessel. He'll be answering it during most of the webinar. But he will also be talking about the Master Management, and I'll take over for the question part. But in any case, throughout the webinar, if you've got any questions, if I spoke too quickly, because I know we have got to cover a lot of things in just that 1 hour, if it wasn't clear, or if you're not sure if you missed it or not, don't hesitate to put in those questions. We know it's a big decision. We know there's a lot of things you need to think about. And this is also why we are doing this today, to help you make a better decision. So don't hesitate to put any questions you have in the Q&A box. So let's start off a little bit of the general information. Firstly, as I mentioned, the Netherlands. There are a lot of different countries in the world where you can study, and some of them are the typical cliche options like the USA, UK. Those are always the main ones, but then often others, you know, if you do think Europe, it depends on whether you speak German or French, or Spanish, you know, there are some other options. But the Netherlands is an amazing place to study, and I wanted to explain a little bit more about that. So firstly, actually, when you zoom out and you look on the map, Maastricht is actually in the center of the Western Europe. It's where they actually signed the European Union Treaty to create the European Union because of its central location. And in general, the Netherlands is also extremely international and diverse. So the Netherlands is famous for how good all the Dutch people speak English. So even if they are, it's actually the country that speaks the best English for a non-English speaking country in the whole world. So the Netherlands really has a really good English level. All the Dutch people are fluent in English, which means that for you coming from abroad, you know, you don't have to worry about not being able to communicate in the grocery store or with the local people, because everyone can easily speak in English. Also, that means from a job perspective afterwards, many of the jobs are also done in English. So that's very reassuring for students coming from abroad. Additionally, the Netherlands actually is one of the top 5 education systems in the world. So it's famous for its very personalized, case-based teaching methods. There's a lot of good universities in the Netherlands. And one of the reasons why it is also so good is because it's got a good value for money in comparison to the other top education systems like the UK or the USA for the higher education. So value for money, the Netherlands is still one of the best countries in the world to consider. From a cultural perspective, the Dutch are a fascinating culture, very entrepreneurial, very forward-thinking, very sustainable, very open and tolerant and direct. They're very famous for their directness. But that also means that students actually really enjoy fitting in the Netherlands because they feel welcome from the first time they arrive in the Netherlands. And that can also be seen in the career prospects, like I've mentioned, after you've studied. The fact that everyone speaks English is a huge help, but also you're allowed to stay in the Netherlands after your studies for a whole year to look for a job. So if you do a full-time study in the Netherlands at Maastricht School of Management, for example, you will be able to stay for a whole year after your studies to look for a job via the orientation year permit. And then, of course, in case you didn't know this, the Netherlands is one of the top 3. It changes every year. Sometimes they're 1, sometimes they're 2, but one of the top 3 happy nations in the world. And this is also mainly because of the work-life balance. So I know often students are amazed to hear that the how balanced and important the life part of life is, and not just the work part of life. So that's something in the Netherlands that's very, this work-life balance is very important. Now, Maastricht itself, as I mentioned, it's all the way down in the south. So it's about 2 hours away from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam. It's about an hour away from Brussels, hour away from Antwerp, and just on the border of Belgium, 10 minutes from the Belgian border, and about 20 minutes from the German border. So it's very, very central. What makes it also very special is that it's there's a discussion where it's the oldest city in the Netherlands. There's a competition between that and another city called Nijmegen. But it's a beautiful old town with the cobblestones and the fairy lights and the beautiful river. It's a really stunning place to study. It's got a more peaceful environment than the rest of the Netherlands. There's less traffic, less pollution. It's just a very amazing place to work and study. And it's also, people always say they feel very safe. So that's one of the reasons why students actually like coming to MSM. They say it's small enough to feel at home from the start, but big enough not to get bored. There are lots of shops and restaurants and entertainment places. It is a student city. The Maastricht University is huge, so there are a lot of students around. And because of that, also, it's got that international vibe that makes everyone feel at home very quickly. So then why specifically MSM? Now, MSM actually is part of the University of Maastricht. We're the business school at the University of Maastricht. And we're very proud of this combination because as part of the university, you as a student would benefit from everything that you would have at a big world famous university. So the University of Maastricht is actually one of the 9 youngest, one of the 9 best young universities in the world. It's actually quite a recent university, and thanks to this, you get the most modern, most up-to-date education you can imagine. But you also have a Triple Crown accreditation. Now, Triple Crown accreditation is very important because that means that your degree has been recognized by a quality control accreditation system by 3 of the top accreditations in the world. So there's only 1% of all business schools in the world that has this Triple Crown accreditation. So this Triple Crown accreditation means that your degree will be recognized and valid all over the world. And this is something really special. So it is important to be aware of this. I always say that the accreditation is a quality control, and it's a much better reassurance than rankings. Rankings are really nice, especially when you do really well in them, but it is a marketing technique. So when you are looking at the quality control, make sure that your degree has the Triple Crown accreditation to make sure it's valid worldwide. From a campus perspective, the campus of the where the classes take place in Maastricht for MSM, it's in a beautiful park. And Wessel will actually share a video if he hasn't done so already. Well, we're not going to show it now, but if you want to see more about Maastricht campus, where we are, you can always look at the link later and see how amazing the campus is. Also, as a student, you'd have access to everything that the university offers. You'd have access to the language centers, to the library, to the study rooms, to all the sports activities. And so that's also nice. One thing that's important is, unlike an American campus, there is no housing included. That's something that you need to take care of separately. But we do have a list of housing options for you, or recommendations of student locations where you can stay. But it is also important to plan ahead for this, because it does fill up. And so it is a first come, first serve type of process. So that is something to keep in the back of your mind. Now, MSM specifically, as I said, we're the business school within the university. And we predate the actual university. So we're one of the oldest business schools in the Netherlands. We were founded in 1952. And we only focus on management and business. We don't do bachelor degrees in 1,000 different topics. We just look at post-bachelor degrees only in management, in business administration, and then even our short courses focus on these topics. So that is something that's quite unique. We're specialized in being generalized. Additionally, as I mentioned, not only do we have the Triple Crown accreditation, but MSM is actually recognized worldwide. It's a brand that is well known in many, many, many countries, because we've been very involved with projects with various governments all around the world. So not only do you get a degree that's recognized, but you also have a brand name that's recognized. What makes us unique additionally is not only the location, but also the fact that we are extremely international. We have a huge range of diversity in our programs. You could even see when I asked now in the chat where you were all from, that's the type of experience you would have in the class as well, people coming from all over, and it's something we're very proud of. We also have a strong focus on sustainability, and our learning experience is very hands-on and personalized, but I'll explain all of this in more detail when we look at the program specifically. From a ranking perspective, as I said, this is less important than the accreditations, but it is good to know that MSM is very well ranked. We're ranked as a tier 1 business school, so the top range of business schools in the world. Our online MBA is actually ranked as the 4th best online MBA in the world, according to the 2024 CEO rankings. And according to the EdUniversal rankings, our MBA was the 8th best in Western Europe and the 15th best for the Master in Management, 2nd best in the Netherlands. And also something we're very proud of is, from a sustainability perspective, the Better World MBA ranking is a corporate knights ranking. It focuses purely on sustainability. We were actually ranked 3rd best in the world. So something we were very happy to see. Now, regarding the actual programs, this is going to be a bit more important. This is where we go really look at the similarities and the differences between the two. We're going to start off a little bit with the similarities. So in both cases, we keep the class sizes small. When I mean small, we don't want to make it too small. We obviously have at least 25 people in the class, 25. That's the absolute minimum, 20. And then the maximum is 35 to 40. We don't go over that, because we want interactive sessions with our students. We also want to know each student personally, and that's really important for us, that you're not just a number at MSM, but that we get to know every single student that comes through our programs. As I mentioned, we have a very hands-on learning philosophy for teaching, and we'll discuss that a little bit more in the next slides, but you'll see that it's very important for us that you're not just learning theoretically, you're actually applying your knowledge. And that's also what makes the difference between a university and a business school, is it's very hands-on in general. Our professors and our students come from all over the world, and as I've mentioned, because the class sizes are that optimum size, we ensure that there's personalized connections between the professors, between the staff, and between the students. We also offer a career and personal development track, which runs throughout the year for our full-time students. But very important is that it is in both cases a 1-year full-time program. So for that 1 year that you'll be at MSM, it's going to be an intense, crazy, fun year, but it is only 1 year. So your MBA the full-time MBA is a 1-year program, and the Master in Management is a 1-year Master in Management program. There are also some curriculum fundamentals that are similar, and then there are some differences which we'll highlight as well in this webinar. And then, of course, in both programs, we have a very similar scholarship setup. And yes, there are partial scholarships. We will talk about that at the end as well. So that's something to know as well. For both programs, there are some partial scholarships available. Right, the Master in Management, the full-time MBA, both 1-year programs. Let's dive in. So as I've mentioned, one of the main things that makes this program so unique is the diversity. Our students come from all over the world. But not only do they come from all over the world, but they also come from all different backgrounds. So that means that we have in the same program engineers and lawyers and HR managers and marketing specialists and data analysts and engineers and IT, and all of them together in one class. And we do this on purpose. I know some programs focusing on management and business want a certain specific profile, but we believe that management is in every line of work, and knowing good business is important for everyone, and that you actually learn more from seeing things from one another's different perspectives than just if you were only a class of engineers, for example. So we really look at creating as maximum diversity as possible for those new perspectives, for that professional networking that you get. And also, it has happened several times that you actually can create your own businesses together. So we've had several times now that students in the full-time programs end up starting a business together after their programs. So that's also one of the advantages of that diversity. Regarding the differences, very important is that the Master in Management work experience is up to 3, maybe 4 years. 4 is sort of like the gray zone, but normally the cutoff is between 3 and 4 years of work experience maximum. If you've got more than 4 years experience, we put you through to the MBA. That's not an alternative. The MBA is from 3 years. So the MBA, you need at least 3 years of working experience. So that is really important that you understand. There is no exceptions made regarding that. Work experience is from about 4 years, max 0 to 4 for the MM, and for the MBA from 3 onwards. And then there's no limits. The average work experience for an MBA can be the minimum of 3, but it can go up to 20, 25 years of experience. And so therefore also the average work experience changes every year depending on the students, but the average is about 8-9 years of working experience. Well, for the Master in Management, we have a lot of students that just finished their bachelor or the previous master and then come through and do another master or do their first master with us. And then the average work experience is the average is about 2, but it really ranges a lot in the program. Also, as you can see, very diverse. We have students from all different nationalities, all different countries. Sometimes I even have to Google the countries because I didn't even know they existed beforehand. So just extremely enriching. And also, as you can see, the backgrounds are extremely diverse. As I mentioned, that's part of the reason why this is important for the learning. Now, I've mentioned the teaching approach a little bit, and I just want to talk a little bit more about that. So the teaching approach, as I've mentioned, is very hands-on. That means we believe that you need to apply your knowledge by learning it and doing it. And so we do a lot of case-based learning. So that means that the teachers discuss real-life cases with you, companies, examples, and you will have a lot of group works and discussions around these cases. And it's focused on current relevant topics so that you can also apply your knowledge to what's happening in the world at the moment. There's a lot of group discussions involved, once again, to help you with that learning process. And then per course, students will experience company visits or guest lecturers, or simulation games. Sometimes you do all three, depends on the course. Sometimes you'll just have the simulation game. But in any case, once it comes down to the fact that it's a lot of learning by doing. And so these are the type of things that you will experience throughout the curriculum. Our professors themselves also are professors that not only have the obvious academic knowledge they would need to be able to teach, but they also have real life experience where they many of them have their own consulting firm at the same time, or they have work experience and they combine it with the academic knowledge. And they also travel around the world and teach, so they're very experienced in teaching also to global students. And it's quite a nice mix of international and local professors. So you're always going to get the best experts in the various fields to help you in that course. What also interesting, and it's the feedback we always get, is that our professors are extremely approachable. So I think it's also because of the fact that we keep the class sizes small, but you can go and talk to them at any time about any question. We really have an open door policy. Now, I mentioned the career and personal development track, and this is something really important for our full-time students because many of the students come to the Netherlands with the hope of, after their studies, getting some work experience in the Netherlands. Some is just a short experience before going back home, and some actually is to start a new international career in the Netherlands. And so because of that, we do a lot of extra activities for the students, focusing on skill development, personal development, social development, and even helping you in the more specific job searching areas. So we do that through the career and personal development track with three main pillars: the personal development pillar, the skill development pillar, and the social pillar. And like I said, under those pillars, there are the different workshops, student competitions, networking events, fun evenings that we do to really help you learn throughout the year also on these very important skills to make you more interesting for the job market after your studies. And so also included in that are some student challenges where you work with companies in groups on very specific topics, the issues that the companies have, often related to the Sustainable Development Goals. And students really love this opportunity to apply what they're learning in class, applying their pitching skills, challenge themselves in the other domains, learning about how it is in the real life with these challenges here in the Netherlands. And we do that at least once a year at MSM, and then there's a national one that our students participate in, and then we also do some small ones with the companies. So something to look forward to as well. Now, I do want to highlight that it sounds a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, but we also like to call our full-time programs, both of them, a pressure cooker. Because basically we are cramming 2 years of knowledge and experiences into 1 year program. So it is going to be intense, and it is going to be chaotic and crazy for you at times. But the point is also to get you out back onto the market as soon as possible so that you can apply what you've learned without losing too much time on your studies as well. So part of the pressure cooker is our assignment process. Per course, we don't do exams anymore. We've stopped with exams and we use instead assignments. So Per course, you will at least have one individual assignment per course. That's every student, every course, there will be an individual assignment. And then on top of that, there's many times in most courses as well, you'll get a group assignment, which is often linked to a company visit or guest lecture, but something that happened or a case that you need to discuss. And so often those group assignments are linked to that practical part of the experience. The exams only take place in very extreme specific cases. There might be one course that just is specifically lent to just an exam in that situation, but otherwise it's always assignment based. The individual assignments are very often context related. So you're applying the theory, you're going deeper into the knowledge of what you've learned in class, but you can very many times choose the topic or the focus of your assignment. So in many cases, when you have to analyze a company's way of doing things for marketing or strategy, you can also base it on your field of interest. So I often say to students, the advantage of this program is that you're not only going deeper into obviously business and management knowledge, but you're also going deeper into the field of interest that you are interested in. So, for example, if you're interested in sustainability, and you want to go deeper into sustainability, then you can always use these assignments as an opportunity to go deeper into that by analyzing companies that interest you in that field. Okay? So it is really nice. I also wanted to highlight give you an idea of what the program cycle looks like, because it does work a bit differently to other universities. Basically, in general, there are some exceptions, but in general, each class takes 2 weeks. So if we take course 1 and we call it marketing, in course 1, it would take 2 weeks, but the first week, you are in class 9 to 5. The second week, you don't officially have classes. That week is set for working your group assignments, your individual assignments, or also the social activities or student competitions or career service workshops that we do. So those are the ad hoc workshops that take place then quite often in that second week. You submit your assignments the end of that second week for that course, the marketing course. And then you move through to second course, let's say supply chain, and it's exactly the same. 2 weeks, 1 week in class, 9 to 5. Second week is the week for your assignments, plus any other activities that MSM has organized. And so you go on throughout the year. So that is the way the program has been set up. It gives you more time to focus on each course without starting to confuse courses or having to worry about one deadline building up at the same time as another. You get to finish one and move through to the other. Regarding the actual curriculum, before I go and look at that in more detail, I also wanted to just highlight what we believe in at MSM, what's important for us and the way we see the future and why our curriculum has been built up in this way. So we have 3 main pillars in our curriculum. The first one is really focusing on that sustainable development that's so important for the future of this world. The second pillar that we look at is obviously what's happening from an industrial and technological revolution perspective, because we know the world is changing really fast. And if you don't have that knowledge to equip yourself and be prepared for those changes, this whole program will be a waste of your time. So we focus a lot on that as well. Our professors are including more and more AI challenges as well for our students, that you can learn how to use AI in a very relevant way. And so all of that is part of the focus to make you as future-proof as possible. And then the third one is the focus on entrepreneurship and innovation. And even if you don't want to start your own business one day, it's still that idea of thinking outside the box, that creativity, that entrepreneurial spirit, even within a company, coming up with solutions that we also try and help you focus on. So that is the 3 main pillars that we look at. Now, when you look at the curriculum, I first wanted to say there's actually quite a lot of similarities. So these are the core courses for both. And as you can see, both courses have finance, both courses have economics, both courses have the accounting and the managing cultural diversity and the entrepreneurship and the strategy and the marketing. This is because both of these courses are focused, as I mentioned, on good management and good business. So there's a lot of overlap from a course curriculum perspective. However, in the way these courses are taught, in the examples that are used, it is obviously one is for the MBA where students already have that work experience, have that knowledge, and that can discuss it in the groups. And from the master management perspective, it's looking at students without that knowledge, with a very limited up till 3-year max experience. And so therefore the way of teaching and the knowledge that is learned in those topics is going to be different to the way an MBA is being taught. Also important is that the MBA is 10 credits more than the Master in Management. It's part of the reason why the MBA is also expensive, but we also do other things for the MBA, which I will explain shortly. But at least you can see there is a lot of overlap from a main perspective. Now, regarding the MBA only, so we're talking just about the full-time MBA right now. What makes the MBA curriculum unique, so different to the Master in Management, is, for example, a course in digital transformation, which the Master in Management doesn't have, and the decision-making tools. So it's using a combination of statistics and data to help students also make more rational decisions from a management perspective. There's also a course on CSR and on change management and on leadership in the MBA, which the Master in Management doesn't have. So the MBA does have a few courses that you will only find in the MBA. The Master in Management also has a few courses that you won't find in the MBA, but these are some of the things for the MBA specifically that you will find that you won't find in the Master in Management. Additionally, after you've done all those core courses that I've just mentioned, you will specialize in one of these expertise tracks. So by so after you've done all the core courses, you choose one of these specializations, and you will do an extra 12 credits, part of the 70 credits, focusing specifically on one of these topics. So say now you choose entrepreneurship as a specialization, you will get 4 courses, well, 2 main courses divided into 2 extra sub-courses, but basically you'll get 4 extra sub-courses on entrepreneurship. Okay, so those are the 12 credits that will be, and you'll have your expertise focus on that area. And so each of you doing an MBA will be able to choose a specialization. For the Master in Management, that does not exist. Also, for the MBA only, you get more options for your thesis. So for the MBA, you can choose between an academic research paper, which is the typical cliche standard operating procedure for an MBA. But we've also added 2 more hands-on options for our students. The first one's a consulting project, which really goes then and you work as a consultant for a company and you write a report with your recommendations for the company. Or a business plan. So if you've had the idea of starting your own business and you would like to explore this further, or you already have a business and you'd like to see how to make it grow, well, then this could be an option instead of doing the research paper. So for the MBA, you have these 3 options. For the Master in Management, it's only an academic research paper. Also for the MBA, there is an innovation week where students are taught about agile planning, Kanban, service design, and Scrum basics methodology. And then students at the MBA level are also paired with a mentor in locally to help them also integrate into the business world here in the Netherlands. So that's also specific for the MBA. Now that was the difference from an MBA perspective. I'm going to give the word now to Wessel, because he's going to tell you about what makes the Master in Management unique. So at least you can then also see what those differences are. So Wessel, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Amina, also for the explanation on the full-time MBA. I hope it was clear for everyone. I think we've answered all questions so far, so I think without further ado, we can move on to the Master in Management, which I will tell you guys a bit more about. Now, as Amina mentioned before, the clear distinction between the Master in Management and the full-time MBA is that work experience. So the Master in Management is actually based on the full-time MBA, which you will see in terms of curriculum, but it has really been catered to the actual target audience of a Master in Management, and that is the recent bachelor graduates or the young professionals with up to 3 years of work experience. In terms of curriculum, you will actually find that the MM really focuses on the practical side of teaching, because people who have recently graduated from a bachelor's or who don't have the work experience yet might lack a bit of that practical side of business. So that is what you would find in the curriculum for the Master in Management. The main way that this is done is through those group company projects. So you actually will be working in groups a lot, and your company project will either have a sustainability focus or it will have a digital transformation focus. So one of those two topics will be very present in your group company project. And then instead of having an actual full supply chain course that the full-time MBA has, you'll be focusing on a supply chain management project, which is always very interesting for our students to kind of see the practical side of what a supply chain looks like for a certain business and how it's kind of set up, and how they can think about that in the future as well. In terms of the final assessment, the Master Management does not have a business plan option that you can choose from, but you can still choose from either that theory or research focused final assessment, or actually focus on a real life company problem as well. So even though it is slightly less options, you still have the option to go for a more practical way in finding a company with a real life problem. Then this is just a quick overview of that group consulting project. So as we mentioned, it either has a sustainable development focus or a digital transformation focus. So it is up to you to choose which one of those most clearly aligns with what you are interested in personally. Now, if you are doubting in any way, shape, or form whether the Master Management is the right program for you, you can actually go to our website and take the Master in Management quiz. It's a 4-minute quiz. You answer a couple of questions that focus on your experience, the type of program that you're interested in, and at the end, you will find out whether the Master in Management is right for you, or if perhaps the MBA would be a better fit. Of course, next to the Master Management quiz, you can always contact the recruiters at MSM. So that is me and also my colleagues Inka and Alina. We are always there for you to answer any questions, either through email, but we also love to do personal Zoom chats, just so we can answer your questions directly. And you can also see us, we can see you, and have a bit more of a personal interaction in that side. Then I think for now, that is everything about these specific programs. If you have any questions about this so far, feel free to put them in the Q&A box, while I go into the practical information that we always discuss for these programs. So firstly, tuition fees, always very important. Here you can also see the clear distinction between the full-time MBA and the Master in Management. The full-time MBA full tuition fee is 34,000 as of 2025, and the Master in Management will be 18,500. So this is also where you kind of see the price difference in terms of the options that you additionally get for the full-time MBA. Now, I think one of the most asked questions that we always get is, of course, about the scholarships and the discounts. We know that it's a very big investment to go abroad for one full-time year, leave your home country and study somewhere else. So it's always nice if you can get some sort of discount or financial relief on your tuition fee. MSM does this in the form of partial scholarships, as Amina mentioned. Both for the full-time MBA and the Master in Management, we have a similar structure of scholarships, meaning that you do get equal opportunities, regardless of which program you choose. We actually have information on our website that you can find on each specific scholarships. Some of the scholarships are merit-based, and some of the scholarships you have to actually submit an essay or a proof of employment or some sort of statement that showcases your eligibility in that sense. One thing that we do always highlight is you have to apply for these scholarships during the application process. So once you start your application in our online application platform, you actually have the financial section, and there you can select that you want to apply for MSM scholarships. This is very important for you to do before you submit your application, because we can only review and accept the scholarships that have actually been included in your application. Now, the maximum discount that you can get for the full-time MBA and the Master in Management is 35%. So you can actually combine several scholarships until you reach that maximum amount. We always suggest, if you have any questions about this, or if you're doubting which scholarship would be interesting for you to look at, reach out to me or reach out to one of my fellow recruiters and send us your CV. We can always take a look at your experience, any volunteering that you might have done, to kind of see which scholarships would be interesting for you to apply for. And I think very important on the last note on scholarships to mention is that we also have some more exceptional achievement type of scholarships. These scholarships do take a bit more work, but if you do manage to get them, it is a very nice opportunity. They are slightly higher in discount, and they're always quite nice to add to your CV as well. So it does take a bit more work, but it's very nice if you ultimately get one of these scholarships. Then application deadlines. This year, we're doing it a bit differently. We are working with rolling deadlines this year, which basically means that we have several application rounds. The first one ending at the 25th of November. So applications are actually open right now. You can start your application and submit it. And the first deadline will be the 25th of November. Once the 25th is reached, we move on to the second round, which has a deadline 27th of January, 24th of March, 1st of May, etc. This is important because the amount of scholarship opportunities you can get also depends on how early you can actually apply. So we have, for example, our early bird discount, which will be higher if you actually apply earlier. So we always recommend to apply as soon as possible so you can get the highest chances, not only the highest chances in scholarships, but also, as Hamina mentioned, we have quite small class sizes. And depending on the popularity of the program, those class sizes can be filled quite quickly. So the sooner you are actually applying, the higher the chances are that you will be able to start in 2025. All right, now what does the actual application process look like? For MSM, this is fully done online. So we actually have our online application portal, campus.msm.nl. You can create an account and actually go to the program of interest. So whether that is the full-time MBA or the Master in Management, and you can start your application there. You don't need to start it and finish it in one go. The system actually saves all the information that you put in there. So you can gradually work on your application. If you need to gather some more information or some additional documents, you do have that opportunity. These documents are then submitted in your online application. So you can think about your CV, your bachelor degree or your previous master's degree, a proof of English. This is very important because our program is fully in English. So we do require you to submit a language test. This can be a TOEFL or an IELTS. We do have some exceptions if your previous education was fully taught in English, or if you live in a country where English is considered the native language. This does come with a small side note that the admission office might require you to still complete a Duolingo test just to verify the level of English, because we want to make sure that everyone is able to understand each other when we have the classes and that you don't fall behind in any way. Then, of course, we have the recommendations. So for the Master Management, you actually need one recommendation. You can get two, the more the merrier. These can either be professional or academic. For the full-time MBA, we do require at least two references, and preferably these would have to be professional because you do have a lot more work experience. So then it makes sense if these come from the actual professional field as well. And then I think personally, the most important part of the application process is the motivation letter. For us, we of course, look at interesting details such as your academics and how you've performed in that sense. But we're also very interested to know you as a person, see what you have done in the past, if you've done any volunteering or if you have any specific hobbies that might be interesting, just so we can have a fully formed picture of who you are. So if I would have one recommendation, it would be to really focus on that motivation letter when you do submit your application. Then the application fee, 95 euros. So you pay the application fee before you submit the application. This can be done in the portal as well. So everything is online and quite easily accessible. After you have submitted your application, the admission office will actually review all of your documents. In case anything is missing, they will let you know. But if all is well and all is complete, we actually move on to the second phase of the application, and that is the interview. You will have an interview with 2 MSM colleagues. It's quite a short, informal interview. Of course, you need to prepare and you need to get ready and have your motivation quite clear for yourself as well, because we will be asking you some questions about different topics that revolve around the application. I'm not going to spoil too much, but it's a very nice way of getting to meet some of the MSM colleagues already. After the interview, the admission board will make their final decision, after which you will be informed about the rest of the procedure. So the visa, actually confirming your participation, paying the tuition fee, all of these things will be gradually informed by the admission office. So this is quite a clear process. Then, also a question that we get asked a lot is, do I need a GMAT or a GRE? What is the situation at MSM? Actually, at MSM, we do not require a GMAT or a GRE specifically. We do actually give you the choice before you start the program. So if you have a GMAT or a GRE, that's great. If you have a very high score, that's even better. You can even use it for our academic excellence scholarship. So that is definitely something to look into. However, you might not have the opportunity to actually take the GMAT. Maybe you're in a time crunch. It's quite close to the application deadline. You need to figure out something to easily submit it. Then you actually do have a second option, which is the MSM leveling courses. So these are 5 leveling courses that you can take instead of a GMAT. They are free of charge, so MSM will provide the courses to you. They are done fully online, so you can actually do them from home. But we do require you to complete them before you start the program. These leveling courses are similar to the GMAT or the GRE. Maybe the content of the courses will not be the most sexy or interesting for you, but it is very important to have that foundational knowledge before you start the program. We have 4 courses, so it's economics, statistics, finance, and analytics, I believe, which you do need to complete. And then we have an academic writing course as well. Good thing to note is, even if you do have a GMAT, we still require you to at least complete the academic writing course, because this is extremely important for all of the individual assignments, group assignments, and of course your master's thesis at the end of the year. So this will be mandatory no matter what. Then I think that is all the information about the full-time MBA, the master in management, similarities, differences, as well as the practical information. I hope that we have answered most of your questions throughout this webinar. Of course, if you do want any additional information, our recruiters are always there for you. We have Alina, who mostly focuses on the online MBA. Inka focuses on the full-time MBA, and myself am focused on the master in management. So feel free to send us an email. We're available by email, WhatsApp, a Zoom call. Anything is possible depending on your preference, and we are more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Of course, our admissions office is also readily available. Steph and Carla are there to answer any questions about your visa, the application process, anything regarding your documents, the validity, any questions that you have around those type of subjects, you can ask to admissions directly. And then, of course, you might not want to take our word for it. There is also an option to actually talk to our current MSM students and alumni who have walked the walk, so they know what it's like to be an MSM student, and they are more than happy to answer any questions about the campus life, living in the Netherlands, preparing for the big move, anything related to those types of topics. I'm sure they would be happy to answer for you as well. And then, of course, we also are online. You can find us anywhere on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we also have a YouTube channel that you can check out. The YouTube channel is particularly interesting because we post a lot of content with our current students, but you can also find previous webinars, campus tours, online master classes, which are always very interesting to check out. So anything related to those topics, feel free to visit our YouTube channel and check those out. And then wondering where we might be in the world, or if we're visiting your country, or if we're organizing any other events. We don't just do online events, we do also travel and visit other countries. So we might come to a place near you. Feel free to check out our website, our events page, to see where you can find us and what other types of events we are organizing. Because yeah, we do a lot of interesting stuff. So that's definitely good to check out. All right, then I think we've gone through most of it, and we have entered the Q&A section. I'm just checking the Q&A for any questions.
During your talk, Vessel, most of there weren't any additional ones. So if anyone wants, well, there was one question which I answered, but I'll just go through that now as well. It was about the working experience for the Master in Management. So once again, if anyone arrived a bit too late, that's one of the big differences for the Master in Management. We require 0 working experience to start off with, so you don't need any work experience, but it is to a maximum of 3 years. So like I said, 4 we can still debate, but 3 is the usual cutoff. And from the MBA, it's from 3 years. So you do need working experience for the MBA. I saw also one of the questions was just how do I stand out in the process, and I think you answered already regarding the motivation letter and in the CV and those extracurricular activities. But one thing I would add is be very careful when you are writing those motivation letters, or it's not even a letter, it's actually sections you have to fill in on the application portal, not to just copy paste something you've written to other schools. So that's very important. Make it personalized to MSM to show you've done good research about MSM. And please avoid AI. We are very, very, very careful of accepting people that have just copy pasted from ChatGPT without giving their own personal opinions on that. So that is something to really think about. Take the time to write honestly why you want to join MSM. So that was one of the additional tips I had. I don't know, Vessel, while I was talking, if there were any additional questions.
Not specifically about the full-time MBA. We did receive one specific question on how high are the chances that people can get scholarships. And I think we have that clear distinction between some of the merit-based and some of the scholarships that require a bit more effort. I think one of the ones that we always like to highlight is the Dean's Development Fund, which is actually based on your country of residence. So it's to also stimulate people from non-European countries to actually come and study at MSM. As I mentioned, the most important thing is to include it in your online application. So you actually go to the financial section, you select, I want to apply for MSM scholarships, and you tick the box of the scholarship that you want to apply for. So some scholarships like that are quite easy to get. And then, of course, you have the other scholarships that do require an essay or a bit more work. And that also depend on your personal experience. So if you've done any volunteering, if your family has a business, if you've done any work around sustainability and those types of sectors. We have added a new diverse range of scholarships. So there are some more scholarships on different sector types. such as the creative sector, the engineering or IT sector, just to give more equal chances to people coming from all different work backgrounds. So I've actually linked the website link in the chat to actually see the specific requirements for each of those scholarships. If you do have any additional questions about those, feel free to reach out and send me a message.
Another one that just came in, and I thought it was a very good one to ask, is about the help, if we give help with the process of the visa. I don't know if you want to answer that one, Wessel.
Yeah, sure thing. So we actually do help you with the process of your visa registration. Our admission office is there and in direct contact with the actual IND and the visa office. So what happens is after you have actually been admitted to the program, the admission office will reach out. There are some certain requirements that need to be fulfilled before we can actually start the registration, one of which is the full tuition fee payment that needs to be completed. So of course, after any scholarships that you've received, you have to pay the net tuition fee that is remaining. The admission office will reach out to you for any documents that they might need in order to actually submit the registration, and then they will keep you up to date on the status of your visa. You're always free to reach out to them in case you have any questions about this specific process, and you can also visit our website. We do have an information page on the visa process that you can also look at.
Yes. I haven't seen any other questions come in. If there's anyone that still has any questions, you've got about a few seconds left to ask them. There's one question I do often get, is can I work during my studies? And I just wanted to quickly highlight that one as well. It's not something we recommend. So the reason is twofold. Firstly, from a legal perspective, if you do want to work with your student permit, it's very limited. You would need to get an additional working permit to allow you to work. So the company would have to hire you for that, get you a temporary working permit because the house insurance isn't covered. And also just remember, as I mentioned earlier on, it is a pressure cooker. It is a really crazy one-year program. It's intense, it's wonderful, it's chaos, it's fun, but it's everything in one. And so that 1 year is going to be very, very time consuming. So trying to still find time to do work, to do a job, is going to be very complicated. We do have students that after a while, once they've settled in and after a while they manage that, and there are some companies that actually offer that to our local students, where they then go and work as a cashier or as a waiter in the weekends. But those are the type of things that most students don't do it because else academically they can't stay focused on the program and they can't enjoy the program. So if you are counting on that financially, it is something I would like you to make you be aware of. That it's not something you should count on to be able to join the program. Unfortunately, it's such a crazy program. If you do have to balance it, and if you can't balance it, you're going to struggle also. So that is something which is important to take into consideration. So I don't know if there are any other final questions. I haven't seen anything pop up. So what I would recommend then is, as Wessel said, he and Inka and Alina and then the admissions team, everyone is there to help you as a potential student decide whether this is a good fit for you. We know it's a massive decision. It's a lot of money. It's scary, the idea of traveling abroad, coming to another country. Are you making the right choice? Are you making the right choice for the right school, the right country, all of that? And that's also why we really take it seriously to help you throughout this decision-making process. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're there to make things as clear as possible to help you make the best decision for you and your future. And so if you have any other questions after this webinar, don't hesitate to talk to us. Like Wessel said, a quick call, a Zoom meeting, an email, anything is possible. So On that note, I would like to wish you all a very pleasant day for the rest. We will follow up and share this webinar recording with you and the webinar. So if you would like to review some of those links that we talked about, then that will be in the webinar as well. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day for the rest, and hopefully we'll see you in Maastricht. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.